I was wrong about everything. I never imagined that a simple weekend babysitting my 6-year-old granddaughter would unravel a web of lies so horrifying it would shake our family to its core and nearly cost us both our lives. My name is Margaret, and at 63, I thought I'd seen enough of life to spot deception when it stared me in the face. I was a high school English teacher for 37 years, trained to read between the lines, to catch inconsistencies in stories, but nothing prepared me for what my sweet, blind granddaughter was about to reveal. It started on a Friday evening in late October when my son James called me with that familiar tone of desperation mixed with hope. James had always been my golden boy, smart, ambitious, a cardiac surgeon at Seattle Presbyterian. 3 years ago, after his divorce from Lily's biological mother, he'd married Vanessa, a polished real estate attorney with designer everything and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Mom, I know this is last minute, but Vanessa surprised me with tickets to Napa for our anniversary this weekend. Would you be able to watch Lily? Just Saturday and Sunday. We'd be back Monday morning." His voice carried that edge of pleading that always worked on me. "Of course, sweetheart. You know I love spending time with Lily." I glanced at the framed photo on my mantel. Lily at age 4. Before the accident that took her sight, her green eyes bright and full of mischief. "You're a lifesaver, Mom. We'll drop her off tomorrow morning around 8. Vanessa's already packed her bag. You know, all her special equipment, the Braille books, her cane." She paused, then added something that should have been my first clue. "Vanessa's been so amazing with Lily. Really stepped up. The therapy sessions, the special school arrangements, everything. I don't know what we'd do without her." I pushed down the uncomfortable feeling that always rose when James praised his new wife. Vanessa had been attentive to Lily. That was true. Maybe too attentive. The kind of attention that felt performative, especially when James was watching. But I told myself I was being an unfair, critical mother-in-law. After all, not every woman would embrace a disabled stepchild so completely. The next morning, they arrived precisely at 8. James looked relaxed, already in weekend mode with his casual sweater and jeans. Vanessa was immaculate as always. Cream cashmere turtleneck, tailored black pants, those Louboutin heels she wore even on weekends. Her dark hair was pulled back in a flawless chignon, not a strand out of place. Lily stood between them, small for her 6 years, wearing pink leggings and an oversized sweatshirt. Her blonde hair needed brushing. The white cane in her right hand tapped rhythmically against the porch steps as they approached. She wore the dark glasses she always wore outdoors, the ones that hid her eyes that had been damaged 2 years ago when Vanessa's car was rear-ended at a red light. The accident had been ruled completely not Vanessa's fault. A drunk driver, no question about liability. But Lily, unbuckled in the back seat because, as Vanessa tearfully explained, she'd thrown a tantrum about the car seat, had been thrown forward on impact. The head trauma led to cortical visual impairment, a rare condition affecting the brain's ability to process visual information. The doctors said she could see light and shadows, but nothing more. Maybe never anything more. "Hi, Grandma," Lily said softly when they reached the door. Her voice was always so quiet now, so different from the chattering 4-year-old I remembered. "Hi, my darling girl." I knelt down and pulled her into a hug, feeling how thin she'd gotten. Come in. I've got your favorite cookies ready, the snickerdoodles." Vanessa's hand shot out, touching Lily's shoulder with what looked like affection but felt like control. "Remember what we talked about, sweetie. Grandma's house has different furniture placement than ours. You need to be extra careful. Use your cane for everything, okay?" Lily nodded, her small face serious behind those dark glasses. James handed me Lily's overnight bag, heavier than I expected. Her Braille readers in there, and her audiobooks. Vanessa loaded everything onto it. He smiled, squeezing Vanessa's hand. "She's so organized with all of Lily's needs. It's important for consistency," Vanessa said smoothly. "Lily thrives on routine. I've written down her schedule, meal times, medication times, bedtime routine. It's all in the notebook in the front pocket." She pulled out a leather-bound planner, flipping to a page covered in her precise handwriting. "She takes her supplements at breakfast and dinner. Very important not to miss them. I've pre-portioned everything. Something about the way she emphasized the supplements made my skin prickle, but I smiled and took the notebook. "We'll follow it exactly." They said their goodbyes, James kissing Lily's head, Vanessa fussing with the collar of Lily's sweatshirt. "Be good for Grandma," she said, her voice saccharine sweet. "Remember everything we practiced." An odd thing to say, I thought, but waved them off from the porch, Lily's small hand in mine. The house felt too quiet after they left. Lily stood in my entryway, her cane extended, not moving. I watched her for a moment, noticing how still she was, how tense. "Would you like to sit in the living room, sweetie? I can put on one of your audiobooks, or we could bake something together. Can I go to my room first?" she asked. The room James kept ready for her visits, the guest room we'd converted with tactile markers on the furniture, a special mat for orientation. "Of course, I'll help you." I guided her down the hallway, my hand light on her shoulder. She walked with her cane, but her steps seemed almost mechanical, like she was performing the part of a blind child rather than being one. I settled her in the room and went to unpack her bag. The supplements Vanessa mentioned came in a clear plastic organizer, morning and evening portions separated. I picked up one of the morning packets, examining the pills inside. 2 large capsules, 1 small white tablet, 1 gel cap. For a 6-year-old, it seemed excessive. In the front pocket of the bag, I found the notebook Vanessa mentioned. But when I opened it, I found more than just schedules. Tucked between the pages was a stack of papers, medical bills, insurance statements, disability claim forms. I knew I shouldn't look. It was an invasion of privacy. But something made me pull them out, smoothing them on the bed. What I saw made my blood run cold. Disability insurance claim for Lily Coleman, approved amount $450,000, paid in structured settlement, monthly payments of $3,000 for 12 years, plus educational trust fund. The claim was dated 6 months after the accident, filed by Vanessa Coleman as legal guardian. Legal guardian? I flipped through more papers. A petition for legal guardianship filed 3 months after Vanessa married James. Granted by the court due to biological mother's parental rights being terminated, father's demanding work schedule requiring reliable primary caregiver, James had signed it. Had he even read it? Or had Vanessa presented it as a helpful legal protection in case of emergency? More papers. Bills from Seattle Children's Hospital. Vision therapy appointments that cost $800 per session, 3 times a week. Special equipment purchases. A braille reader for $3,000. A specialized cane for $500. Adaptive technology for $7,000. All submitted to insurance. All reimbursed. All paid to vendors I'd never heard of. My hands started shaking. I pulled out my phone and Googled one of the vendor names. Northwest Adaptive Solutions. No website, no address, no business license registered in Washington State. I Googled another. Cascade Vision Therapy Center. Same result. The realization hit me like a physical blow. These were fake. Vanessa was submitting fraudulent claims, pocketing the insurance money, and no one had caught it because who questions expenses for a disabled child? But it was more than that. The disability payments, the monthly $3,000, that money was supposed to go to Lily's care. Where was it going? I sat down hard on the bed, papers scattered around me. The supplements. I picked up the morning packet again, really looking at it this time. What if these weren't supplements? What if Vanessa was keeping Lily impaired, keeping her dependent, keeping her blind? The thought was so monstrous I wanted to reject it immediately. But the pieces fit together too perfectly. Vanessa had everything to gain from Lily staying disabled. The insurance money, the disability payments, the trust fund she controlled as legal guardian. And if Lily ever recovered, if she ever regained her sight, all of that would disappear. Would Vanessa really be that evil? Would she really keep a child blind to steal money? I heard a small sound from down the hall, a door creaking. I quickly shoved the papers back into the notebook and went to check on Lily. She wasn't in her room. My heart seized. "Lily?" I called out, trying to keep my voice calm. "Where are you, sweetie?" "I'm in the bathroom, Grandma." Her voice came from the guest bathroom down the hall. I walked toward it, then froze in the doorway. Lily stood at the sink, her dark glasses off, washing her hands. She was looking directly at herself in the mirror, not staring vaguely in the direction of the mirror the way a blind person might, looking at herself, seeing herself. She reached for the towel on the rack to her left without fumbling, without searching. She knew exactly where it was because she'd seen it. Our eyes met in the mirror. Hers went wide with terror. I closed the bathroom door quietly behind me and locked it. Then I knelt down in front of her, my heart hammering so hard I could barely breathe. "Lily," I whispered. "Can you see me?" She didn't answer. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. Her whole body began to shake. "It's okay," I said quickly, taking her hands. "It's okay, sweetheart. You're not in trouble. But I need you to tell me the truth. Can you see?" She nodded, just a tiny movement, then burst into sobs. I pulled her against me, holding her tight while she cried. She felt so small, so fragile, like a bird with broken wings. When the sobs quieted to hiccups, I pulled back just enough to see her face. Her eyes were green like her father's, clear and focused and filled with terror. "How long?" I asked gently. "How long have you been able to see?" She wiped her nose with the back of her hand. "Since my birthday. 6 months ago. I woke up one morning and everything was clear. Not blurry anymore. 6 months. Half a year of pretending to be blind. My sweet granddaughter living a lie for half a year. Did you tell Mommy Vanessa?" Lily nodded miserably. I was so happy. I ran to show her. I said, "Mommy, I can see everything." She looked confused at my use of the name. Vanessa had insisted Lily call her Mommy within weeks of the marriage. I watched it happen, watched my granddaughter corrected every time she said Vanessa instead of Mommy. "What did she say when you told her?" Lily's face crumpled again. She got really quiet. She took me to her office and closed the door. Then she said that if anyone found out I could see, bad things would happen. She said Daddy would lose his job because we'd been lying to the insurance company. She said we'd lose our house. She said Daddy might go to jail. She looked up at me with those clear green eyes. "I don't want Daddy to go to jail, Grandma." The manipulation was breathtaking in its cruelty. Vanessa had taken a child's joy at recovering her sight and twisted it into guilt and fear. "What else did she say, sweetie?" I kept my voice calm even though rage was building in my chest like a volcano. She said I had to keep pretending. She said if I told anyone, ever, she'd know. She made me practice being blind every day, walking with the cane, feeling things, acting like I couldn't see. She checks me all the time. She puts things in different places to see if I notice. She watches me in mirrors. Lily's voice dropped to barely a whisper, and she said if I ever told, she'd make sure I'd never see Daddy again. She said there are places for kids who lie, places where they lock you away forever. I felt sick. This wasn't just fraud. This was psychological torture of a 6-year-old child. "And the pills she gives you? The supplements?" Lily shook her head. "I don't take them. I pretend to swallow them, but I hide them in my cheek and spit them out later when she's not looking. She says they're vitamins, but they make me feel weird and sleepy. Once I fell asleep for a whole day and couldn't wake up. After that, I stopped taking them for real. Smart girl. So incredibly smart and brave." I hugged her again. "Listen to me very carefully. Your daddy is not going to go to jail. You are not going to be taken away. And you are never, ever going back to that house with Vanessa. Do you understand?" But she said, what she said were lies. All lies. The only person who did something wrong is Vanessa, not you, not your daddy. She doesn't know he wasn't part of this. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Lily searched my face, then nodded slowly. Good. Now, we're going to keep pretending for just a little bit longer, okay? When we leave this bathroom, you put your glasses back on. You use your cane. You act blind. Can you do that? Why? Because we need to catch Mommy Vanessa. We need proof of what she's been doing. And to get proof, she can't know we know. Lily thought about this, then nodded. She was so young to understand espionage, but she'd been living it for 6 months already. I'm scared, she whispered. I know, baby. But Grandma's going to fix this, I promise. We left the bathroom, Lily with her dark glasses back on, her cane extended. To anyone watching, she was still blind. But now I knew the truth, and now I had to figure out how to prove it without getting us both killed. That night, after Lily was asleep, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and the papers from Vanessa's notebook. The house was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of old boards settling. I started with the medical claims. I called the insurance company's fraud hotline, but it went to voicemail. Weekend, of course. I left a message anyway, careful with my words. I'm calling to report potential fraud regarding a disability claim for a minor child. Multiple vendors appear to be fake. I left my number and hung up. Then I focused on the legal guardianship. That was the key to everything. If Vanessa had legal guardianship, she controlled Lily's medical care, her education, her finances. She could make decisions about Lily's life without James even being consulted. I pulled up the court documents online. The petition had been filed by Vanessa's law firm, approved by a judge based on James's consent and supporting documents about his demanding work schedule. There was a letter from the hospital about his average 80-hour work weeks, a statement from Lily's school about needing a consistent parent for pickups and appointments. It all looked legitimate, but there was something else, a clause buried in the legal language. In the event of the father's death or incapacitation, sole guardianship and control of all minors' assets transfers to petitioner without further court approval. I read it 3 times to make sure I understood. If something happened to James, Vanessa got everything. Not just guardianship. Everything. The life insurance policy, the house, the savings, and Lily's disability trust fund. My hands went numb. This wasn't just about insurance fraud. This was about positioning herself to inherit everything if James died. I pulled up James's life insurance policy. I knew he had one through the hospital, but I didn't know the details. After 20 minutes of searching, I found the beneficiary designation in an old email he'd forwarded me when he was updating his estate plan after the marriage. Primary beneficiary, Vanessa Coleman. Amount, $2 million. $2 million. The papers slipped from my fingers. If James died, Vanessa got $2 million, the house, full control of Lily, and access to Lily's $450,000 trust fund. She'd be set for life. And she'd have no reason to keep Lily alive after that. A disabled child was only valuable while the money flowed. Once Vanessa had everything, Lily would become a liability. The realization was so horrifying I had to stand up, pace the kitchen, force myself to breathe. This was bigger than fraud. Vanessa was planning something. The supplements Lily refused to take. What were those really? The insurance fraud was just the beginning. I needed help. I needed someone who would believe me and act fast. I thought about calling James, but he was 2 hours away in Napa, and he'd been so blind to Vanessa's true nature. Would he even believe me? Or would he think I was a jealous mother-in-law making up stories? I needed proof. Real proof. Not just papers and suspicions. I went to Lily's overnight bag and found the pill organizer. Using a napkin, I carefully extracted one of each pill from tomorrow's morning dose and put them in separate plastic bags. Then I photographed the remaining pills still in the organizer, making sure the date label was visible. Next, I set up my laptop to record. I positioned it on the bookshelf in the living room, angled toward the couch, and hit record. Then, I left it running. In the morning, I'd give Lily her supplements and see what happened when she pretended to take them. I needed Vanessa on record discussing the pills, the fraud, something. But how would I get Vanessa to talk? She wasn't supposed to be back until Monday morning, unless I gave her a reason to come back early. I picked up my phone and texted James. I hope you're having a wonderful time. Just wanted to let you know Lily's doing great, but she mentioned she hasn't been feeling well. A little dizzy, said her stomach hurts. I'm sure it's nothing, probably just ate too many cookies, but I wanted to keep you in the loop. Give me a call when you get this. I hit send and waited. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Mom? James sounded worried. What's wrong with Lily? Oh, I'm sure it's nothing serious, I said, keeping my voice casual. She just seemed a bit off after dinner. said her tummy hurt and she felt dizzy. But she's sleeping now. I just wanted you to know in case it gets worse. Should we come home? We're about to have dinner, but I can— No. Enjoy your anniversary, I interrupted. I'll call you if anything changes. I was a pediatric teacher for decades, remember? I know when something is serious. Are you sure? I'm sure. I'll text you updates. Okay. He still sounded uncertain. Let me just tell Vanessa. I heard muffled conversation in the background. Then James came back on. Vanessa wants to talk to you. My heart rate spiked, but I kept my voice steady. Of course. There was a pause, then Vanessa's voice, crisp and controlled. Margaret, what exactly are Lily's symptoms? Just some stomach discomfort and dizziness. She said she felt weird. Weird how? Just off. A bit disoriented. I let concern creep into my voice. You know, with her condition, I want to make sure we're not missing anything serious. Another pause. Did she take her supplements this morning? Yes, of course. Followed your schedule exactly. And did you watch her swallow them? The question was sharp. Too sharp. I know, I said slowly. Why? Is there something I should know about those pills? No, nothing. Vanessa's voice smoothed out again, but I'd heard the edge. They're just important for her vitamin levels. Blind children need extra supplementation for proper development. Of course. I should have known you'd have it all handled. I'll call her doctor first thing Monday morning just to follow up. In the meantime, keep her hydrated and watch for any changes. Call me immediately if she gets worse. I will. Enjoy your dinner. I hung up and exhaled slowly. I'd done it. I'd planted the seed that Lily was having a reaction to the pills. Vanessa would be worried now, wondering if Lily actually took them, wondering if there would be symptoms that might raise questions. And if those pills were what I suspected, sedatives or something worse, Vanessa would need to come back to manage the situation. I just had to wait. Sunday morning, Lily and I made pancakes. She kept her dark glasses on and used her cane, but when Vanessa wasn't watching, her movements were fluid and natural. She reached for the syrup without fumbling. She poured her orange juice without spilling. She was a child who could see, pretending she couldn't. It broke my heart every time I saw it. Around noon, my phone rang. Margaret, I've been thinking about Lily all night. James and I are going to cut our trip short and come home this evening instead of tomorrow morning. I just want to make sure she's okay. There it was. The trap closing. Oh, that's not necessary, I said, playing my part. She's much better today. I think it was just something she ate. Still, I'd feel better if we came back. We should be there around 6. If you're sure, I'll have her ready. After I hung up, I texted my daughter-in-law's brother, Marcus, who was a detective with Seattle PD. Marcus had never liked Vanessa. He'd told James at the wedding that something felt off about her, that she seemed more interested in James's money than James himself. They'd barely spoken since. Marcus, it's Margaret. I need to talk to you about something urgent regarding Lily. Can you call me? He called within 5 minutes. What's going on? I need you to trust me and not ask too many questions yet. Can you come to my house around 5:30 this evening? And bring another officer with you? Margaret, what's this about? Child endangerment, fraud, possibly attempted murder. I can explain everything when you get here, but I need officers present when Vanessa arrives. For Lily's safety and mine, there was a long pause. I'll be there. At 5:15, Marcus arrived with another detective, a woman named Sarah Park. I showed them everything, the papers, the fake vendors, the guardianship documents, the life insurance policy. Then I brought Lily out. She was still wearing her dark glasses. Lily, honey, I said gently. Can you show Detective Marcus what you showed me yesterday? She looked scared, but she trusted me. Slowly, she took off her dark glasses. Then she looked directly at Marcus and said, in a clear voice, "Hi, I can see you." Marcus's face went through several emotions. Shock, confusion, anger. How long? 6 months, I said. Vanessa's been making her pretend to be blind to keep collecting disability money. And I think she's been drugging Lily to make her compliant. Detective Park looked at the pill organizer I'd saved. We'll need to get these tested. I've already separated out samples. I handed her the plastic bags. Smart, Marcus said. He looked at Lily. Sweetheart, did Vanessa ever hurt you? Physically? Lily shook her head. But she said she would. She said if I told about my eyes, bad things would happen. We're going to need you to tell us everything, Marcus said gently. Can you do that? Lily nodded. For the next 45 minutes, Detective Park recorded Lily's statement. Everything about the morning she regained her sight, Vanessa's threats, the pills that made her sleepy, the daily practice sessions of pretending to be blind, the checks and tests Vanessa put her through. By the time Lily finished, even hardened detectives had tears in their eyes. At exactly 6 o'clock, a car pulled into my driveway. Through the window, I watched James and Vanessa get out. James looked relaxed, happy. Vanessa's face was tight with tension. Marcus and Detective Park positioned themselves in the kitchen, out of sight. I answered the door with Lily standing beside me, dark glasses on, cane in hand. Hi, sweetheart, James said, sweeping Lily into a hug. Are you feeling better? Yes, Daddy. Vanessa's eyes swept over both of us, assessing. I gave her my warmest smile. Come in. Come in. She's been perfectly fine all day. We stepped into the living room. Vanessa's gaze landed on the laptop still positioned on the bookshelf, the red recording light visible if you knew to look for it. Her expression flickered, just for a second. Then it smoothed back to pleasant concern. Lily, sweetheart, James said. Grandma said you weren't feeling well yesterday. What hurt? My tummy. And I felt dizzy. Vanessa moved closer to Lily, her hand reaching out to touch Lily's face. Did you take your supplements like a good girl? Yes, Mommy. Vanessa's fingers traced Lily's jaw, her thumb pressing lightly against Lily's throat, checking for swallowing. Good. Those are very important. I watched James watch this interaction, saw the first flicker of confusion cross his face. Vanessa, why would you check if she swallowed them? Vanessa laughed lightly. Oh, you know kids. Sometimes they hide pills in their cheeks. I just want to make sure Lily gets proper nutrition. James frowned but didn't pursue it. I cleared my throat. Actually, Vanessa, I've been meaning to ask you about those supplements. They seem like a lot for a 6-year-old. What exactly are they? Just vitamins, specially formulated for blind children. I pulled out my phone, showing her a photo I'd taken. This one is alprazolam. It's a sedative. And this one is actually a veterinary tranquilizer. So which blind children need those? Exactly. The room went absolutely silent. Vanessa's face drained of color, then flushed red. Where did you get those? You had no right to. I had every right. I stepped between her and Lily. Because you've been drugging my granddaughter. You've been keeping her blind. And you've been stealing insurance money. You're insane. James, your mother has lost her mind. Have I? I pulled out the stack of papers. Then, explain these fraudulent insurance claims. Explain the fake vendors. Explain why you filed for legal guardianship without telling James the full terms. James took the papers from me, his hands shaking. What is she talking about? Vanessa. Don't listen to her. She's trying to turn you against me. She's always hated me. Actually, I said calmly, she's been doing this for 6 months. And I can prove it. I nodded to Lily. Sweetheart, you can take off your glasses now. Lily's hands went to her dark glasses. She pulled them off slowly, revealing her clear green eyes. Then she looked directly at her father. Hi, Daddy, she said. I can see you. James staggered backward like he'd been punched. What? How? Since my birthday. Lily's voice was steady. Mommy Vanessa told me I had to keep pretending. She said if I told, you'd go to jail. That's when Marcus and Detective Park stepped out of the kitchen, badges raised. Vanessa Coleman, Detective Park said. You're under arrest for insurance fraud, child endangerment, and conspiracy to commit murder. Murder? James looked between all of us, his face white. What murder? Marcus pulled out the guardianship documents. She made herself Lily's legal guardian and your sole beneficiary. If something happened to you, She'd get everything: the life insurance, the house, access to Lily's trust fund. And blind Lily would be a lot easier to control than Lily who could see, or easier to make disappear, Detective Park added quietly. Vanessa lunged for the door, but Marcus caught her arm. She struggled, and in that moment, the polished facade cracked completely. "You stupid little brat," she snarled at Lily. "I gave you everything. I saved you from your useless mother, and this is how you repay me? You poisoned me," Lily said quietly. "You made me lie. You scared me every day. You ungrateful." Vanessa's voice rose to a shriek, but Marcus was already cuffing her, reading her rights. James dropped to his knees in front of Lily, tears streaming down his face. "Baby, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "I know, Daddy." Lily hugged him. "Grandma saved us." The next few hours were a blur of statements, evidence collection, and phone calls. The pills were taken for testing. The laptop recording was seized as evidence. Detached Park found text messages on Vanessa's phone discussing the insurance scams with an accomplice, someone who'd been creating the fake vendor accounts. They also found searches on her laptop. How much alprazolam to induce heart failure? Natural causes death in middle-aged men. Life insurance payout timeline. She hadn't just been planning to let nature take its course with James. She'd been researching how to murder him and make it look natural. By midnight, Vanessa was booked on multiple felony charges. Her law license was suspended pending investigation. Her bail was set at $500,000, which she couldn't make. James, Lily, and I sat in my living room, exhausted and traumatized but safe. Lily had fallen asleep against her father's chest, her dark glasses finally discarded forever. "I should have seen it," James said quietly. All the signs were there. The way she pushed to get guardianship so quickly. How she was always giving Lily medicine. How she discouraged me from taking Lily to different doctors for second opinions. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "She told me you were interfering, that you didn't understand Lily's special needs." I believed her. She's very good at manipulation. I chose her over my mother. Over my daughter's well-being. What kind of father does that? The kind who wanted to believe in love. I squeezed his hand. The kind who couldn't imagine someone could be that evil. "You're not at fault here, James." "She is. How do I make this up to Lily?" "You start by being present. Really present. You get her real therapy for the trauma Vanessa caused. You rebuild trust, and you never, ever doubt her again when she tells you something is wrong." He nodded, holding Lily tighter. The trial took 8 months. In that time, investigators uncovered the full scope of Vanessa's crimes. She'd stolen over $300,000 through fraudulent insurance claims. She'd been systematically drugging Lily with sedatives to keep her compliant and confused, making her easier to control. The veterinary tranquilizer had been her backup plan, something she could use to stage an accident if Lily ever threatened to expose the truth. Most damning were the searches and notes about James. She'd been planning his murder for months, waiting for the right opportunity. The Napa trip was supposed to be reconnaissance for a hiking accident in a few weeks. A tragic fall. A grieving widow. A massive insurance payout. Lily's testimony was the centerpiece of the prosecution. At 6 years old, she was remarkably composed on the stand, explaining in simple terms how Vanessa had stolen her sight, her voice, her childhood. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Vanessa was convicted on all counts: insurance fraud, identity theft, child abuse, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder. The judge sentenced her to 25 years without possibility of parole. As they led her out of the courtroom, she looked back at us one time, not with remorse or regret, but with cold, calculating hatred. She'd gambled everything and lost. Lily didn't flinch. She just held her father's hand in mine, standing tall. Now, 2 years later, Lily is 8 years old and thriving. She attends regular school, excelling in art and reading. She's in therapy, processing the trauma, but she's resilient in a way that amazes me daily. James quit his position at Seattle Presbyterian and took a job at a smaller hospital with better hours. He's present now, truly present, for every school play, every doctor's appointment, every bedtime story. And me? I'm no longer just grandma. I'm Lily's legal guardian alongside James, by court order and by choice. I moved into a house 3 blocks from theirs. I see them almost every day. Last week, Lily brought home a drawing from art class. It showed 3 figures, a tall man, a small girl, and an older woman, all holding hands under a bright yellow sun. That's us, she explained. Our family. I hung it on my refrigerator, right in the center, where I can see it every day. Some people ask me how I knew, how I suspected Vanessa when no one else did. The truth is, I didn't know. Not at first. I just paid attention. I noticed the small things that didn't add up. I asked questions. I trusted my instincts. And when my granddaughter looked at me in that bathroom mirror, terror in her eyes, I made a choice. I believed her. I protected her. I fought for her. That's what family does. Not the family you're born into, necessarily. Not always the family you marry into. But the family you choose. The family you build. The family you protect with everything you have. Lily is safe now. She can see. She can speak. She can trust. And Vanessa? She's exactly where she belongs. Sometimes late at night, I think about how close we came to disaster. If James had called 5 minutes later, if I hadn't looked through those papers, if Lily hadn't been brave enough to tell me the truth, but she was. And I did. And we survived. That's the thing about families built on love instead of lies. They bend, they break, they bleed, but they survive. We survived. And we're stronger for it.